Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying time is here. That's right, we are talking 1986's Cobra on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from either Venice or downtown Los Angeles, which are not next to one another. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we are dedicated to celebrating any film's least discussed component, the characters. Now we're going to unpack all the gory details of 1986's Cobra in the hopes that a random victim with no link to one another's death is just the beginning of the jokes that we can make at their expense. And as always, there's only one person that I trust, that if I scrape her content off the internet, she will tell me what offended parts I can then remove. The one and only Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing, Gina?
I'm good. I think you probably just baffled about 75% of our listening audience by going into this deep cut Twitter reference over something that has nothing to do with the podcast.
Well, let's get some personal things out of the way just to say. First of all, you're Rotten Tomatoes verified.
I am.
Basically.
And
yes.
All downhill from there, baby.
Secondly, another website scraped, which is basically when you take someone else's review and puts it on their website, word for word.
Yeah, it never happened to me. It's very exciting. I sort of feel like I've officially made it now. You know, all I need is someone, creating a Twitter account that is impersonating me, and I'm a Twitter celebrity.
Cross your fingers. It's going to happen any second now. So before we get into Cobra, I don't want to alarm you, Gina, but we are not alone. That's right. We have a special guest. He is what I call a high priest of cinema positivity. He is Chicago's favored son. He is the high emperor of F this movie. He's the one, the only, and a Kill by Kill all-star, Patrick Bromley. How are you doing, Patrick?
I'm good. Crime is a disease, and I am also a disease.
Sometimes diseases fight against one another and they knock each other out. Like you put poison in to knock out cancer. Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, I don't think any of us are the cure. I'm definitely the man in the wheelchair just covering his face. That's my favorite character in this entire movie.
Oh, I have so many favorite characters in this movie, Gina. Patrick, before we go on, I wanted to say, I have to get this off my chest. I don't agree with them bringing you in here, and I just want you to know that.
I have some sort of unintelligible response to that.
Thank God for closed captioning, because boy, did I miss some gems of comebacks that he says in this.
If you have a problem moving your lips, is the solution to it adding a matchstick in your mouth constantly that you have to keep in your mouth while you're talking, making it therefore even more difficult to talk? It feels like that's an impediment to the job you have, which is acting, supposedly.
Yeah, but it looks cool. Everything about this movie is, we don't know why it looks like this. It just looks cool.
Yeah. Here's my theory. Right, before we get into where we saw Cobra, let's just talk about it in general. Is he Batman? It kind of feels like he's Batman. He wanted to make a Batman.
Yeah,
because he's got a car. He's wearing sunglasses indoors.
He does have a cool car, but not exactly all that. His apartment is kind of, meh.
He's got a Pepsi sign outside of his lanai, man.
Wait, is there Pepsi product placement in this movie?
Oh, it's very subtle, Patrick. If you blinked, you would miss it.
But then Rennie Santoni drinks a Coke.
And in the supermarket, the Pepsi is filmed right next to the RC Cola. Certainly a brand manager lost their job over this, because Pepsi probably did not want to be mentioned in the same breath as a Axe Cult's New World.
Or did they? That's a pretty distinctive branding there.
Yeah. Well, they're the taste of a new generation. A new generation knows to cut your face off with an axe.
A new generation of sweaty serial killers. Can I just say that I know for some reason we're obsessed with how sweaty people are in these movies. This is our sweatiest movie yet.
Which is saying something.
Yeah.
We talked about Amityville 2, and that is a sweaty motion picture.
That's a sweaty, incesty movie.
Yeah, but I mean, like the main villain in this, I wish I could find out because he looks like he has stomach flu. I mean, have you ever had the stomach flu? You got that kind of greasy sweat, and it's like, and you know what I'm talking about? And he just like even in rooms where no one is sweating, he's like rivulets are just running down his face.
He's like producing his own ectoplasm. It's crazy the amount of liquid coming out of him, and you would think that would deplete your energy at some point, that every fluid you have is going into sweating out whatever outfit you have, even if you just put it on. In the hospital, he sweats through that jumpsuit
with his very clever disguise.
Yeah. He's a real Clark Kent, that one. At one point when they hit the fire alarm, he just tries to blend, and it's the funniest thing in this movie.
He's like 6'5", and I mean, I'm going to put it nicely. He's a very distinctive looking actor.
Yeah.
And the fact that his disguise is putting shoe polish in his hair and wearing glasses is hilarious.
In the Robert Z'Dar scale of 5 Robert Z'Dars equaling 1 Robert Z'Dar, he's probably 4.
He's a solid 4 Z'Dars.
He's a solid 4. I mean, he's a better actor. He's more versatile than Robert Z'Dar, who portrayed Robert Z'Dar in every film that he was in, featuring Robert Z'Dar's chin. But
and yet neither of them get anywhere near the Michael Berryman scale.
No.
That's a scale. That's entire. The scale was smashed after that.
It's very true. Berryman's funny, at least. I feel Berryman's very funny whenever he's given a chance to be funny. Is Berryman also in Last Action Hero?
No, you're thinking of Tom Noonan, who's also very distinctive looking because he's like 8 feet tall. So
where are our weirdos? Where are America's weirdos now? Who are today's great weirdos?
Buscemi.
Yeah, but he's a very prominent.
He's not a very convincing serial killer though, because he looks like he weighs about $150 soaking wet. So
no, the last time he did it, people cheered when he lived.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, people have such high esteem for Buscemi. It doesn't matter what his character is in that movie. I believe just child murderer, and they're like, "Yay, that child murderer lived!" And my hands almost touched. I almost joined in because I was so joyous. What are you gonna do? He causes a reaction. All right, let's talk about the first time that you saw Cobra. Bromley, what was your introduction into the axe cult of our heart?
I was obsessed with seeing this movie as a child to the point that I remember being, I would have been in like 3rd or 4th grade. I remember drawing the poster in class. I had a copy. I cut out the newspaper ad and was trying to draw the poster because I was obsessed with the little laser sight coming out of his gun. Mm-hmm. And I saw it probably when it came to VHS. And naturally loved it because I'm just inclined to love Sylvester Stallone action movies and canon movies. And I had already, convinced myself I would love it at that age. So it is a movie that I have seen more times than I'm proud to admit.
It's one of those things that garners its own cult, as it were, not to put too fine a point on it, though, because as Gina said, everything looks so distinct to what it is. It doesn't feel like a lot of other movies, even though it's definitely stealing a lot from Dirty Harry. It doesn't look or act or play out like Dirty Harry.
It's definitely trying to be a little bit of a horror movie, which is why we thought it met the qualification of being on here.
Oh, it definitely, they want to what if we made Dirty Harry, but with axe murderers, and then all of a sudden you got yourself a movie. You bring in a director who is notorious for being kicked around by actors. But needless to say, like, he shoots the hell out of this movie. He shoots the hell out of Tombstone. You know, that Rat movie, say what you will, it's a crazy film.
Well, let's point out who the director is. It's George Cosmatos, whose son directed one of the greatest horror movies of the 2010s.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. And I thank God. I mean, this movie is so glossy, so sweaty, so close up. I didn't see it until years after. 86 was a busy theater going year for me. But once Aliens came out, I only saw Aliens and The Fly. That's it. I stopped going to other movies. And I dedicated myself to Aliens, The Fly, and I saw Big Trouble in Little China once. And that was my calendar year, I think, up until Halloween. Everything else went into the background. I was obsessed. So I came to Cobra, I think years afterward, maybe when I started working in video stores. And I was like, oh, I'd always meant to check this out. And I watched, I'm like, oh my God, this is a horror movie. I would have loved this. And then the mystique of it feels instantly dated, but now we're at the point where its datedness seals it off into its own beautiful cocoon, and it emerges as a butterfly that in neon reads 1986.
I like that. That's pretty dead on.
And Gina, what about you?
I mentioned that though I my family was in limited circumstances during the 80s. We always had the top of the line cable package because my father loved television more than air and water, and so I watched a lot of cable. And there was a time in the late 80s when 3 action movies were on heavy rotation on your HBOs or your Cinemaxes, and that was you go back to Dirty Harry, Sudden Impact. Another one which I felt if I watched it now I'd feel like I had to wash my eyeballs afterwards. Lethal Weapon, which was probably considered the best out of the 3. I mean, it's all right. It's of this one and Cobra, I'm much happier to have gone back to Cobra than to Lethal Weapon. And then Cobra. So at least one of them were on at any given time of the day, on any given day of the week. So I probably started watching this whenever it would have made it onto cable. So things took longer to be available for home viewing back then. So probably 87, 88. And yeah, it was for a while. It was one of the movies where, hey, Cobra's on. I mean, I was a bit older than Bromley was. I was in my late teens by then, and still trying to figure out what exactly my tastes were at that point. And I don't remember thinking that it was a good movie. I remember thinking it was a fun movie, and it still is. I mean, I'm in my jaded middle years, I see a lot more wrong with it, or air quotes wrong with it, than I did as a teenager, but I still had a lot of fun watching it.
Well, let's get right into it. And we start off with a litany of very unpleasant crime statistics.
And mostly pulled directly out of Sylvester Stallone's ass.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that these comport either with the time the film was made. They certainly don't comport with what is happening now. What I do know about it is shooting a cameraman won't make those better.
Well, that's his James Bond. That's his Bond entrance.
That's right. Because he's also James Bond. In addition to all the other things Cobra is in this movie.
It's James Bond. He's James Bond if James Bond packed grenades for a weekend away out of town.
He's just going into Central California to chill out. He would just have those grenades on his belt. Again, he might be Batman. And then we cut to, after our opening credits, we meet our Axe Gang. And I immediately noticed something that I love, which is excessive set decoration. Here, the Axe Gang is meeting in some sort of spark factory.
Well, they kind of look, at one point, they kind of look like they're in the Lost Boys cave.
That, and also it's flooded like the Crystal Lake Research Facility from Jason X. They both have faulty plumbing wherever they are.
Yeah, the spark. It's a spark factory that's constantly making sparks, and yet no one is working there.
No,
so that just suggests that the machinery was just left on, and people just walked out.
I don't doubt that. And people don't seem to notice all these different people of various walks of life coming in there with 2 axes, not just one. This is not subtle. Do they have a golf bag where they have little cozies on top of the axe, and you get to Axe Gang, and you're like, which one do I pull out today to slay them together for 5 full minutes?
Yeah, I needed to know more about the workings of this gang. I mean, if I ever make it out to California, I'm totally going to pitch to My Neighbors Are Dead, because I want to play the guy in a 3-piece suit to stand there with all the bikers and street mutants, and he just like ding ding.
Like, how do they recruit? There's so many walks of life in there.
You see, he thought he was going to a Rotary Club meeting, and so he wandered in. He's like, all right, I think I like the cut of these guys' jibs.
Suit guy is my favorite, because I just imagine him calling home. Yeah, honey, go ahead and start dinner without me. I need to make a stop on the way home from the office.
The gang's getting together for some axe clanking. Don't wait up.
Right.
First of all, our axes go missing. Now you come home every weekend smelling of sparks and metal fuse.
You're covered in sweat. You're high on Pepsi.
Honey, it just feels like this is a release for me. Let me have this. I'm not doing anything wrong. But weren't you weren't you following the Knights slasher case? No. That's not me. I'm not going around in an unmarked van just slicing people up. That's another Axe Gang.
In mid 80s Los Angeles, marriage counselors found a niche in counseling couples who one spouse was a member of a axe killing gang.
I mean, listen, I grew up in the suburbs here. Every other of my friends had a parent who was in an axe gang, looking to start an axe gang.
So you grew up in this dystopian hellscape that Cobra takes place in, where a car can be set upon by a bunch of people wielding axes and sledgehammers, and absolutely no one hears or sees anything.
It happened every other week. I mean, I've told the story many times of my mom threatening me that I shouldn't sleep downstairs in the den to watch Saturday Night Live because the Night Stalker would kill me because he preyed on houses and he would only kill people on the first floor. And if we were near a freeway entrance and we were near the 2 freeway, that's how she wanted me not to sleep downstairs, because she didn't want me to play the TV too loud.
Well, she was trying to save you from the Gene Dumanian years of Saturday Night Live. I mean, your mother's a thoughtful woman, Patrick, and you should call her when we're done and say, thank you, Mom.
I will, Gina. You're bringing this family closer together, and I thank you for that.
Dude, kill by kill, it brings people together.
Let's cut to a supermarket in close to Marina Del Rey, Redondo Beach area. It's the kind of time when grown women would sit in coin-operated cars outside of supermarkets, and grown men with no disabilities whatsoever, other than the fact that they have large shotguns under their coats, park and handicap spots.
Love that. I love that subtle bit of character development. Mwah. It's just so. I mean, if you blink, you miss how just it has so much dimension to this marauder with a shotgun that he parks in the handicap spot.
This killer will turn out to be character actor Marco Rodriguez. Here, it feels like his face is on too tight. He walks in and it looks like he put it on and he just wants some sugar and water given to him.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about this movie, as if to imply there's only one thing is this gang, what they call themselves, the New World or something like that.
Yeah.
So they look like, again, a bunch of mutants. The closest normal looking person is this cop who she's either a cop who joins the gang or a gang a gang member that infiltrates the police department. It's never made entirely clear. And even she's like not terribly convincing as a person you should trust, because she does nothing but scowl the entire time.
She's Stockard Channing's stunt double.
Exactly. And she's got that Kubrick stare going on the whole time whenever she's looking at Brigitte Nielsen's character, and nobody notices this. But like these people are walking around in broad daylight in the middle of well, it's not even middle, it's Christmas time. It's not that hot there. In like duster coats and leather, and they got shotguns strapped to their back, and yet, I mean, they're doing a terrible job of trying not to get caught, and yet no one can catch them.
One of my favorite line readings in this entire thing is, and her character is Nancy Stalk, because this film is nothing if not subtle. Nancy Stalk. She comes up to a woman who they kind of tap with their van, and she does this Valley Girl accent with her.
And she's like 40.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that done a damage. And the woman occurs like, how did you even hit me? Have you been drinking? And her response is, I have.
And she's got like this, like, and you can tell when she's in cult mode, she gets like really heavy blue eyeshadow on.
Oh my God. Very severe lip liner on her.
She's like the only lady cult member, which is interesting.
Yeah. It's, how difficult would that to be? But here's the thing, Gina. She's not like the other girls. She's a cool axe gang girl.
She's like the Darla to the rest of the Little Rascals.
Yeah. For them, like there's no girls allowed, but then there's Darla. So she breaks all the rules, and that's what they're all about in the New World. They're warriors of a new world where Pepsi rules, and peanuts are shot with shotguns and very close up. All I could think during that supermarket sequence where he's blasting away food was that sequence in The Jerk where he goes, he hates these cans. Stay away from the cans.
Yeah, it takes a long time to actually get around to shooting a person.
It's a lot of mean mugging as he walks in, and people go, hey, what's your problem? And then finally he starts shooting up the place. And then, of course, all the cops surround the supermarket. And for some reason, half the supermarket, the patrons freeze in place and never move from that moment on. They're never instructed to do anything. He just people just go, I'm not going to move because he's going to shoot me, I guess.
Like I said, my favorite guy, I mentioned this already, but he's in the frozen food aisle. It's a man in a wheelchair just covering his face. Like, now he won't see me.
What I love about that sequence is half the doors are open, so it's filling up with dry ice fog, which is a very common thing in a supermarket. And Sylvester Stallone walks down. He doesn't even walk. He looks like Eddie Murphy dancing sideways, where he kind of like, he does this thing when he's in The Leader of Sexual Chocolate, where he's got a hanky in one hand. He kind of walks down sideways, but he's doing that with a gun.
Well, here's the thing. Jeans in this movie are tight.
Yes.
They are unflatteringly tight. and I realized that was a Luke back then, but man, oh man, I don't know how he manages to run.
And a lot of the time he doesn't.
He's kind of he's known for being kind of a diminutive guy. I don't think he's ever looked smaller than he does in Cobra.
He looks extremely compact.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he's coming off of 2 movies in which he was demonstrably large. So he's coming off of First Blood Part 2 and Rocky 4.
Yeah.
So this is kind of his triumvirate of in Rambo, he's going to be the U.S. military. And Rocky, he's going to be our foreign service. And here, he's decided to be all of our law enforcement and judicial branch all in one. So this is Sylvester Stallone's America, everybody.
We have to talk about for a moment about his polar opposite. What was his name? Morty, the other cop who just didn't. I don't like your ways.
Oh,
Monty.
Yes, Detective
so Monty.
Monty
Is played by Andrew Robinson, who is good old Larry Cotton from Hellraiser, the ultimate cuckold, maybe.
Who gets cuckolded by a guy with no skin, for crying out loud. Right. You can't even outfuck a guy with no skin? All right. Hey,
but yeah,
listen.
he kind of represents the pansy liberals who think you should talk a hostage taker down from a situation rather than like blowing up the entire fucking store.
And he gets, from moment one, we see that almost no one has any respect for him. Art LaFleur and his head. Zoom into this movie.
I love Art LaFleur. He's got the tiniest little eyes. I love it. They're like two little raisins pushed in the toe.
And it feels like there's so much pressure from the amount of head that his eyes are bugging out from inside two very small slots. And the weird thing is, like, he is a crazy chameleon because he can appear to be villainous. He can be a cop. He can be a military guy. He can be your dad in The Blob. Like, he's very chameleon-like here. And he immediately says to Monty, like, he's like, oh, we almost have this situation at hand. He's like, you don't have anything under control. No one likes Monty. He's immediately cast upon as like this fucking thorn in everybody's side who might consider reading people rights.
Monty's like, oh, we just want to talk to you. He's trying to take a very gentle approach to the crazed gunman who is blowing up produce.
It's like the guy in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 in the pool scene who tries to talk down Freddy Krueger, who's like, hey, nobody wants to hurt you around here, right? Everything's going to be cool, right? You with the finger gloves. You be cool, I be cool. And he immediately gets a knife to the gut. I love that guy. This supermarket sequence is... if you don't know if you want to watch this movie, if you just watch the supermarket sequence and you're like, I want to see more of that, that's all this movie is.
Oh, yeah.
Is that supermarket sequence writ large over and over and over again.
Yeah, there's a lot of I don't recommend you watch it with headphones because boy, is there a lot of gunfire.
Yeah. Once Sylvester's Cobra, saunters through the freezer aisle like he's seducing a crowd.
Drives up in his car with the license plate Awesome One. Because of course he fucking does.
And he also takes a sip of beer because that's what the commissioner is going to want to hear. Well, you shot a guy. Also, were you drinking when you did it? I had a warm Coors. Just because I was thirsty. And then he proceeds to have a very long and supposedly improv conversation with our gunman that feels like it's just, why stop at one rejoinder when you could have 5? And that's what this movie becomes, is just like rejoinder after rejoinder after rejoinder, as if to say, you might have liked Commando, but wait till you see me talk down a shotgun guy and then blow his face off in Cobra.
Yeah, and of course the shooter is all like, I want the media, because of course they want to, talk to the press. I guess they want to have their which you would think that they're going to do that. They'd find more attractive people to be the face of their act cult.
He is a unique face, though. You have to give him that. Like, he stands out in a crowd, but not for the right reasons. I don't know that I would put him in the press corps of the New World. I don't know that I would put him in that position necessarily. He has a bomb made of a doorbell buzzer and a piece of pipe. I don't know that's a real bomb, but he threatens to press the button, but never ever gets close to it. And then Cobra knifes him in the chest and then shoots him in the chest a dozen more times, and he dies on the frozen beef like a fool he is. Take that.
And somehow this is only the first 5 minutes of the movie we're talking about.
Well, and then he spins his gun around like TJ Laser and holsters it, and we get the close up of the Cobra on the. I like this movie. I love cop movies. I love 80s action movies, but some of the coolness porn in Cobra is a little too much for me to take, and this scene is the worst offender in the movie, I think.
I just like that. I just like that he has his own little personalized handgun.
Right.
It's so petite. And also because the snake is kind of sideways on the butt of the gun, when he sticks it in his pants, it looks like the top of his penis is a snake, Bromley.
That's very deliberate.
Is that a message that anyone finds appealing? That your penis is a flaring poisonous snake with fangs? Listen, I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum. All I'm saying is, if your pitch to me is, I'm going to fuck you so good, you're going to think my dick is a poisonous snake.
Yeah.
That no thanks.
Rears up and hisses at you when you get too close.
I'm going to spit venom at you. No. No. I want to hug for a while. Is that okay? Fuck.
Well, I mean, maybe snakes like hugging. We don't know. You ever tried to hug a snake?
True. No, I haven't even tried. Here I am denigrating an entire animal group when I haven't tried to hug them. My apologies to all cobras everywhere. I did not mean offense.
Apology accepted.
Cue the Miami sound machine. If there is anything out of place in this movie, it is the cacophony of weird fucking musical choices, highlighted here by the Miami sound machine in a song that can be boiled down to this: you're working too hard. That's it. It's just a phrase they say over and over and over and over again, working too hard, trying to make a living.
Off the top of your head, which came first? Which came out first, this or Manhunter? Because I feel like Manhunter came out first. Then
I have to believe
because both came out the same year.
Oh, okay. Wow. So it's probably not likely that
it's in the air
that they lifted a lot. Because I feel like he saw Manhunter and was like, "Yeah, let's do this. Let's have this weird kind of vaguely new wavy kind of artsy soundtrack." But then like John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band.
Well, they're definitely both MTV style action movies. Like there is a lot of montage. There is a lot of, pop
a lot of deep and meaningful close-ups, except in Manhunter, they actually were deep and meaningful. In Cobra, right. It's just, I could see every pore in your face.
Well, you need to see deep into that face to really know what's going on. It turns out that Cobretti, which is his supposed last name, lives in Venice. Venice is not close to downtown Los Angeles. In this movie, however, they're adjacent. You can get there by streets.
Well, I just like that they seem to suggest that he just walks away. He has his little tiff with Detective Monty, and then he just walks away and he's just done. He's done for the day. Doesn't have to fill in any paperwork. Doesn't have to give a statement about. I mean, I'm not a cop. I don't know any cops, but I'm pretty sure that when you shoot and kill someone, you have to make. I think they actually sometimes will put you on leave. Yeah. And but he's just like, yeah, well, my job here is done. They keep talking about that he's on the zombie squad, yes. which they never actually explain what that is, which is funny to me. Well, it sounds cool. We'll say he works the zombie squad.
I would assume the zombie squad, and please forward any opposing ideas. But it sounds to me like the zombie squad is you work all night on crimes no one else wants to solve, which is why they have contacts with every tattoo parlor in town. And I'm just saying, at no point has there been a clue that tattoos are a part of this, and yet these two are all over multiple tattoo parlors.
Well, no, they do have. I mean, the cult members do have tattoos.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Yeah,
no one knows anything.
There's no. I mean, unless like in a deleted scene, Brigitte Nielsen's character mentions them having a tattoo. But yeah, But he just another day at the pencil factory, and goes home to his little apartment.
A couple things that have been discussed elsewhere, so we won't give them a lot of talk, is that when he rips off that lowrider driver's shirt, that you can see his lav mic taped to his chest. And like, do you want to take two on this? No. Moving on. The other thing is that he pulls pizza out and cuts it with scissors.
He literally makes himself a smaller piece of pizza.
Mm-hmm.
But what I have not heard anyone discuss is the fact that he takes that leftover pizza not out of the refrigerator,
nope,
but out of the freezer. He's eating frozen, smaller scissor cut.
He also stores his gun killing supplies in an egg carton.
Yeah,
in the freezer.
I
guess this is a sort of here's some more quirky characterization. He has these odd little affectations, like eating frozen pizza without heating it up.
We showed this movie as part of our F This Movie Fest that we do every year last year, and we handed out pizza scissors to everybody.
More people should use them. The other thing that I began to notice at this point in the movie is that he never takes off his gloves, which looks cool, I guess, but also means like he's never washing his hands, but he's also never washing those gloves. Like he just killed somebody.
Imagine how damp they are.
Yes, he's like sweating through his fucking gloves, and then he's touching his food, and then he touches other people's food. It's real fucking weird. There's a couple things here for a guy who's supposedly the cure to the disease of crime, where you're kind of like, Cobra may want to clean up the streets, but his countertops are really fucking dirty. Like, practice what you preach, Cobretti. The other thing I noticed in his apartment is that he has won the Heisman Trophy. Which I had not noticed until I saw it in HD blue from Shout Factory. And then there's just this rando Heisman Trophy hanging out in his bat cave, which comes complete with one of those plexiglass window things where he can mark on it with wax pencil, right, like he's in a submarine.
I like the again very artistic choice of him turning on the television, and there's a very joyful old school Toys R Us commercial, and then it switches right to a newscast, and police are still on the lookout for the murder of 17 people.
Yeah, here's a continuity. Here's a this is This is a plot hole. It's a plot hole. They say that there's 16 victims, and then later, mere minutes from then, the actual 16th victim is killed. But who fucking cares? Like, who even knows? Like, it's arbitrary.
I think the funniest thing about that is the news report is designed, edited, however, written in a way to scare the viewer as much as possible.
What I like about this Axe Gang is that they found, like common ground with one another.
They could be at the local Axe Gang meeting.
Oh God, they could be at that Axe meeting. Everyone should be at that Axe meeting because I think they would get a lot out of it.
It seems like a very social group. They're always together. Like the only person that you ever see by himself is the main antagonist.
Well, and if you're not there, you miss out on so much, and then you got to read the minutes, and that's not the same.
I mean, you miss out on signing up for the bowling party, the White Elephant gift exchange. It's Christmas time. There's a lot of social events at the Axe Gang Club.
Yeah, they always do that unwrapped toys for charity thing, and if you don't sign up,
it's just axes.
It's little miniature. They serve their snacks. Their little axe shaped cookies.
Just the Boys and Girls Club just gets this massive palette of axes. Do they think that we teach like how to be Paul Bunyan here? Do they think we're lumberjacks? It's just supposed to be toys, right?
Policemen still baffled as to the identity of the axe gang, but they just received a giant delivery of axes for tots.
Representatives for the Axe Makers of America say that while they do not condone the actions of the New World cult, they do like all the purchases of axes.
I mean, the local Home Depot just loves them. They come in every few months. They stock up on their axes. They stock up on their sledgehammers. And speaking of sledgehammer, he's in this movie.
Beautifully done.
He sure as hell is. Oh my God. He is all up in this movie. First of all, he's introduced during a Gary Wright song. Gary Wright. Just the first time I've heard Gary Wright and it not being, his two songs that always get played. This is a completely new composition. He's been back on the charts, everybody. Get ready for the second coming of Gary Wright.
I have an objection to the way this montage is edited, though. Like, it's fine if you want to just quickly do some cut-ins to the photo shoot. But they go on for so long before revealing the photo shoot. They just keep cutting away to robots. And you could do that 2 or 3 times and we'll be like, okay, I guess that's going to be something. But this goes on for probably 30 to 45 seconds where they're just cutting away to robots. And it's like, what the fuck is happening? Why am I getting subliminal shots of robots all of a sudden?
It's robots and homeless people. And I don't.
That's Los Angeles.
and
all Los Angeles was.
And prostitutes just hanging around outside in their undies.
Oh, if I had any real money, I would pay it to find out what those conversations between those people and Sylvester Stallone actually were. Hey, you been seeing that one with an Hey. I'm looking for a guy with an X.
And then everybody just responds to them, like, just shaking their head, like, yeah, I don't know what he's saying.
Just nod politely and maybe he'll go away.
Do you know what he's saying? No, I can't. He's got a matchstick in his mouth and I can't understand anything.
There's a cobra head sticking out of his pants.
Is that what police people do? They just have penis snake guns? I don't think that's... Margaret, I don't think that he's a real cop.
His partner is constantly eating?
Oh, yeah. He's a real Brad Pitt, this one. My favorite part in that montage is just it instantly cuts to a giant neon sign that says sex girls. Sex girls. And then there's one guy looking at the photos outside of sex girls like he's shopping for lettuce. Nope. Not that sex girl. Not that sex girl. I might do something with that sex girl. Is she in tonight? Is this sex girl in tonight? Oh man. Why do all the robots have big noses? What does that mean? Do robots need big noses?
I'm trying to figure out what they're
noses at all.
I'm trying to figure out what they're selling.
Fashion. You told me last night. I said, "What is this fashion shoot for?" And you just said, in all caps, "Fashion."
Well,
that's why she's wearing different wigs.
Now I'm thinking, but are they selling the clothes or her series of wigs?
Fashion wigs.
It's weird too. And there's one shot where she has her regular actual hair, and that just calls attention to the fact that she's wearing a wig the rest of the movie.
It's sitting on top of her hair, which apparently was piled into a bun of some kind because the hair doesn't sit right on her skull. It just sits on the outside of it, like if you were wearing a sweater on a sweater.
We had to mention here, we did mention earlier that the heroine, leading lady is played by Brigitte Nielsen, and she and Sylvester Stallone eventually apparently met and fell in love on this shoot. And let me tell you, the chemistry between them is blistering.
She looks annoyed with every interaction she has with human beings. Nevertheless, Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, not a natural actress. God bless, not a natural actress.
No, I don't know what she's natural of necessarily.
In all seriousness, I think she is trying really, really hard. She's putting all of her energy and focus into sounding like she has an American accent, which she does not.
No,
and she's not hiding it well. And I don't know it's not like her
character's name is Ingrid Knudsen. There's no need for her to play down her. Is she German, Swedish? There's no need for her to try to play down the accent that only comes out when she's screaming and yelling about something.
She wears a couple different interesting outfits in this sequence. She wears a one-piece bathing suit. She wears some sort of country and western kimono that I really liked with the pink wig. At one point, she straddles one of those doodle games, where there's the ant that you have to put together. You play with your two. And intercut with this is a couple great moments. First of all, Brian Thompson is already sweating a lot. And can someone get him some liquid Advil? Or something?
My God. He just like, he looks ill. What we skipped though was, like I mentioned before, that this gang appears to be completely uninterested in not getting caught, and yet they're still not getting caught. I feel like there's going to be a scene eventually where, like in 7, where Kevin Spacey just literally just walks into the police station covered in blood and says, "You're looking for me." I feel like if they do that here, you're gonna have some middle-aged cop look up, take a number, buddy, and then just wait, because she passes by them in her car on the way to this fashion shoot. And this is during the scene in which they have, we mentioned earlier, they've rear-ended this woman and then set upon her car with, the most subtle of weapons, which I love they refer to them earlier in the news as silent weapons, which is there anything silent about using a sledgehammer on someone? Because that seems like something that'd be pretty noisy. But anyway.
Yeah.
So she's driving by and kind of trying to see what's going on. Brian Thompson walks out in the middle of the street and just stares her down. Yeah. And just again, he is an extremely distinctive looking gentleman. And he just doesn't cover his face, doesn't and then only after she leaves, and they say, "Oh shit, we got to get out of here." It's
and yet later when they ask a police artist to render his face in pencil, it comes out looking like Conan the Barbarian. Did they put out an APB for Arnold Schwarzenegger circa 1982?
I swear I'm innocent. I wasn't even at the overpass.
I don't use axes, I only use the sword. The only I deal with the snake cults, but they have to be giant snakes. This is a really this is going to be a technical feat for this because all of the Sylvester Stallone impersonations are very close up to microphone, and all the Arnold stuff are way back here.
I'm not even trying any of that.
Shout out to, in that montage, to Johnny Shrimp Boat, home of shrimp chili. That is what the sign says. Shrimp chili.
But yeah, the fashion photographer is Sledgehammer, the TV character who you have to be of a certain age to, hey, that's Sledgehammer.
Yeah, I'm sure people have seen him before, but we're the only group who's going to identify him as Sledgehammer. He has an interesting pitch for her, which is, don't sleep with me for me. Sleep with me for your career.
I just want to make you happy.
I just want to make you happy. He's the one person in Los Angeles who would like to make her happy because he's noticed that she never smiles or appears to be excited, nervous, or have human feelings. She is those robots. they put clothes on her and she's walking around. Oh man. And he gets axe murdered right away, but he's not the only one in that parking garage. A yuppie guy with very large glasses gets it.
Yeah.
And then the security guard who brings down her purse also gets, I don't know how the fuck they did this stunt. That stunt is wild. They hit him with a van into an elevator shaft. How did they do that and not kill somebody? It is fucking wild.
Yeah, it's again, in keeping with their absolute disinterest in not getting caught. In their attempts to kill one witness, they kill roughly about 40 other people in total.
Yeah, they're not for a lack of victims. I know they get very frustrated that they're not killing Brigitte Nielsen, but look at all of the other people you're killing. It's like they can't see the forest for the trees that they're killing.
I mean, at least 5 people should count for one of her.
If you stacked them up, they would at least equal her height. So you got that going for you.
Just the notion that this murder cult bent on anarchy is obsessed with eliminating an eyewitness seems like such a flimsy thread on which to hang this entire movie.
Yeah. Didn't they want to have a fucking press conference?
Right.
So what are you trying to hide? I guess the one thing that we should talk about is not only is Nancy Stock a member of this axe gang, but in the original version of the script, even as they went into production of filming it, right up until they filmed the actual scene, that Detective Monty is revealed as the head of the axe gang.
No.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So I guess that's why they're trying to keep it quiet, because they've infiltrated all of these.
But they're not trying to keep it quiet. They're like they're like shooting up entire small towns.
I mean, we're not there yet, and we won't be in this episode. But to the point where they don't keep it quiet, their ultimate stealth move is to approach with 40 fucking motorcycles.
Right.
That's what. Yeah, like I was saying, I said that to you in chat last night. It's like, all right, let's lay low for a little while. Maybe we'll wait till we're seeing blah 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 blah. It's like
they'll never see us coming.
When Brigitte Nielsen, she's in the hospital after she's attacked. So Brian Thompson's character, I don't think he's even given a name. I think he just called the Night Slasher. He's literally credited as the Night Slasher.
Yes. So
he puts on his disguise, which is absolutely just so I barely recognized him. It seems like his mindset in this hospital is, well, I'm here to find this witness and eliminate her. But you know what? While I'm here, I'll kill another couple randos. Yeah, I'll make the best of my time.
He puts a bunch of squid ink or that black stuff that they would keep in vials from the X-Files. That's what he darkens his hair with at Nancy Stock's behest, as she gives him a pep talk of sorts while kissing his bicep.
He's wearing, again, soaked with gastritis sweat, wearing for no discernible reason a filthy tank top, which I was like, why are they so dirty?
I don't know. Like, why can't anyone take a shower in the Axe Cult? What does that architect do? He's part of Axe Cult. Does he have to be that sweaty all the time too?
But yeah, so like in the hospital, he has this absurd, we haven't even talked about his knife. His knife is like roughly about 8 inches long, about 5 inches wide, and it's got like this like spiked like hilt. And he's just like, I don't know where he's holding this thing. It kind of appears in his hand. It's like,
at one point he pulls it out of the back of his pants, like it was tucked in around his butt. And I can't imagine anything more uncomfortable than this constantly spiky razor sharp instrument that he kills one person in a car early in the movie, and he kind of jabs it at the camera like he's fly fishing.
But yeah, like
a very weird flick of his wrist.
While he's in this hospital, which in typical horror movie fashion, it is puzzlingly understaffed.
There's a real Halloween 2 sitch
So
happening in this hospital.
kills someone to steal their glasses. Then he just, for some reason, kills an old lady, like laying in her bed doing nothing, in her hospital bed doing nothing, and leaves his mop there. And then,
leaves his mop next to her head.
But yet he spares the sassy nurse in the elevator with him.
Well, she's right. He should take the fucking stairs.
Remember the health code.
Remember the health code. Fucker. There's a whole bunch of health codes being violated in this hospital because Sergeant Gonzalez and Cobra try to bully Brigitte Nielsen into giving them more details, all the while debating what of her hospital meal they're going to eat with their bare fucking hands. Or in Cobra's circumstance, his dirty ass leather gloves he refuses to take off. He's picking up individual pieces of lettuce with his gloved hand.
Well,
that is gross.
It's in typical, that well-known Stallonesian humor. The running gag in this is that his partner is obsessed with food. Like I think 90% of his dialogue has to do with him wanting food of some kind. And
Cobretti saying that he shouldn't eat anything.
I think there is a scene in which I think there really is a scene, where they're, the typical Dirty Harry, where they're standing over the corpse of a victim and the guy's got like, a sub sandwich, like just dropping crumbs on the person's corpse.
There's a real missed opportunity here for him to take that piece of lettuce and then whip out a pair of scissors and cut off a smaller piece of lettuce.
It just turns out to be some sort of weird, like OCD thing where he has to cut his food down into smaller, portions.
A couple minutes later, when they actually take Brigitte Nielsen out of the hospital to go to the safe house, he's eating an apple with his gloved leather hand.
Yeah.
And he is obviously eating the entire outside layer of the apple, and then he offers it to her. And she's like, no, thank you. Well, you don't like health food? Health food? It's an apple, you asshole. I mean, it's healthy, yes, but it is not quote unquote health food. It's just an apple that you've mostly eaten and now offered to somebody else. You grosso. Oh boy.
The thing we also had to mention is that this thing with Officer Stalk, and I don't know how I missed it before, that her name is Stalk, which is wow, that's subtle. Great job, Sly. Is like it's not a twist or anything. It's not a surprise reveal. She from the beginning, she's in the cult, and because there's only 6 cops in this entire police squad in Los Angeles, as luck would have it, she's a cop assigned to go along with them, while they take Brigitte Nielsen to the safe house.
Which makes more sense if Detective Monty is a part of the gang. And
right.
That would make more sense if they had followed the script, but they all decided at the very last moment he shouldn't be, because the actor did not want to sit in the makeup chair and have a tattoo put on his chest.
Is that true?
That saved me 3 hours. Yes, he goes, it always bugged me, and we're sitting around, we're waiting up in Lake Piru to film it, and all I'm thinking about is how long it's going to take for them to actually paint this tattoo on my chest. And I say to the director and the director of photography and Sylvester Stallone, you've just killed 40 people. What's the point of another reveal? Just punch me out. And Sylvester Stallone, yeah, it's a good idea. Let's do that. And that's what they did. They just punched him out.
I agree. It's a stupid ending, with the punching out. I think that having him be, the head of the cult is even stupider, but I actually kind of love the idea too. I just,
what's one more stupid thing?
I just wish they would have gone full tilt with it.
So after they get this sketch, Cobra decides, I have to go check this against all of the other photo records that I have at my apartment. So he doesn't go to the LAPD. His bat cave in Venice apparently has a computer and a bunch of photo shots, and he's going through these photos one by one and then just tossing them. This is not a filing system. This is what I'm saying. You want to clean up the streets? You gotta practice what you preach, bro. So yeah, there's this mayhem at the hospital. We talked about how terrible Brian Thompson is at drifting into the background of everything.
Not being seen? Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's seen no matter where he is.
And yet they can't find him.
No, they cannot find him. They can't find anyone related to it. But 3 Axe Gang people attack Cobra at his apartment, and he shoots them all so that he can't ask them any fucking questions. Which you got to leave one guy alive to ask some questions, dude. Come on.
And yet, like, nobody, like, he lives in like an apartment complex. And yet, like, nobody like peeks out the window. Nobody's like, I mean, even in a lot of like, 80s, action thrillers, crime dramas, there's always that, the old lady like peeking out the door. They like quickly closing the door. There's no, it's a ghost town.
Yeah. At least in Tango and Cash, in the middle of a car chase, someone pops out topless because they're having sex in a parked car. You see that the world's populated with other people.
I like one of my favorite bits in Ghostbusters is when I think this is when Lewis is taken over and turns into Slotho or whatever, and no, it's when the creature shows up and the old lady opens the door. She does a little like and like closes the door. That's like my favorite part in the whole movie.
Oh, wow. I do like how Night Slashers he manages to find the largest pair of Sally Jesse Raphael glasses to put on.
And again, it's absolutely a convincing disguise. I would have never realized it was him.
It's like he's a real Clark Kent, that one. He just really disappears. The next day, Cobra is reprimanded by Art LaFleur and the Scorpio Killer and what appears to be NBC's Chicago Dad Season 2. I should explain this for Bromley. We did Fear No Evil, and in the middle of Fear No Evil, this guy shows up at a bar who apparently is in his own show called NBC Chicago Dad. So we just decided to name that. So every time we come by a character actor who appears to be from Chicago, we will be referring to them as Chicago Dad. This is season 2. Not much happens here, but again, a lot of this would have been explainable if Detective Monty ended up being in charge of the Axe Call, but that doesn't happen. It must have been really difficult for the director of photography in this movie with Sylvester Stallone deciding to wear mirrored sunglasses every scene he's in that he can.
Oh yeah, the camera's always to the kind of sort of to the side of him a little bit.
Yes. You can't line right up. You'd see the camera. It's ridiculous. So they decide to transport Brigitte Nielsen to this safe house. And immediately after they exit the hospital, you can see people are following them. They're up to no good, including one guy from the Axe Gang who has longerish hair but no sideburns. And that is not a way to blend in, everyone. You need some kind of sideburn.
I can't emphasize enough that these people, are doing nothing to kind of. It's hilarious because they're so they just disappear into the night. Yes, on their motorcycles with their sledgehammers and their axes. They're just disappearing. They're just lurking around the shadows unseen.
They just blend instantly. Like even fucking Vulcans have sideburns, dude. Come on. They're goddamned aliens, for crying out loud. So Gonzalez and Stock they're taken out by a camper truck. And then we're into a massive car chase that I'm happy to report was filmed in my very own backyard. Ooh. That's right. The vast majority of this car chase happens in old downtown Long Beach.
You see, the only claim to fame I can make is that, again, bringing up John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, Which how many podcasts in 2020 are mentioning John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band? No,
multiple times.
In all seriousness, Eddie and the Cruisers. Anybody remembers that movie with me?
Of course.
Was actually filmed in my hometown. So, and boy, that was a big deal. This is going to certainly put us on the map.
Did you guys erect a statue of Michael Pare?
There was a fundraiser.
Is it the dark side of
yeah, on the dark side. Yeah.
I had to really pull for that
Listen,
one.
just poor man's Bruce Springsteen is sufficient.
Turns out, spoiler alert, he ain't dead. So you get to see everything in old downtown Long Beach in this sequence. You get to see movie theaters that were bulldozed 20 years ago, exploding hot dog carts, the old city hall that no longer exists, the entrance to the 710 freeway, a machine gun that shoots grenades by the look out of it. He destroys that camper truck with just a machine gun. It literally explodes like it was shot by a phaser.
There's a point where he's driving the car down the highway backwards and shooting out the window with the machine gun.
For whatever reason, only superficial damage seems to happen to his awesome 50s car, but everyone else's car is destroyed by his bullets. But it's very pre-Fast and Furious. I think this was probably the first time I ever saw nitrous used as a thing in a movie, which you now see all the time in Fast and the Furious movies. I mean, this should be in the Fast and the Furious universe. Like, Cobretti should join the family.
Is he like, maybe he's like Vin Diesel's character's dad?
Oh my God.
Can you imagine the dialogue between those two?
Because it just drops so low after a while your speakers just vaguely vibrate a little bit.
All subwoofer. every conversation. And then in between scenes, you just see a secretary making check marks to how many times they've been hit versus how many times.
Yeah, right.
Oh, man. Multiple times in this car chase, Cobra's car flies. I don't just mean it comes off a jump. That happens too. But when they're driving down an alley off of Ocean Boulevard, his car approaches another vehicle and then just appears to fucking levitate over it as if they don't need where they're going. They don't need roads. It just launches into the fucking sky.
Yeah, I was too busy noticing that and he did this in Rambo too. The using a machine gun one-handed, which you cannot do. It is physically impossible to you could probably fire a machine gun one-handed, but you're not aiming it at the same time. If your arm just doesn't go flying right off your body, you're just going to be just frantically firing bullets in all directions.
No, it's making a lot of assumptions that do not comport with reality. Then again, like that car like it's a lowrider. It is very low to the ground. It can't make this many jumps. And yet when they mysteriously teleport from Long Beach to Venice to go over the canals, shout out to A Nightmare on Elm Street, the very first one, which also has an inexplicable Venice canals cameo. His car should be destroyed, just in tatters. And yet it manages to go through that. It manages to launch off the second level of a parking garage with zero problems whatsoever. And then finally, they land at the port of Long Beach and he runs into a boat. That's it.
Is this the longest car chase ever? Or is it still it still bested by like the French Connection?
Oh, yeah. Bullet certainly beats it by a country mile.
But yet, ironically, there's more bullets in this scene, in this car chase.
More bullets than Bullet. What are you gonna do? I think the car chase in the Deadpool where Dirty Harry races a tiny car, a tiny remote control car. That might actually be longer than this.
I saw that. Saw that in the theater.
Oh, I saw that in the theater too. I sure as shit did. You're damn right. And I was confused.
Remember when like Jim Carrey like supposed to be like a sexy rock star?
I mean, even it is just.
He was literally supposed to be like Axl Rose, if like memory serves, wasn't he?
No, he's portraying basically. He's doing a lip sync to Welcome to the Jungle in the middle of The Exorcist, which is also not a thing that goes with it. But okay.
We'll get to that one eventually.
We're going to have to. Because that is also a movie that wants to be a horror movie somehow. We've got Cobra, we've got First Power has to be on this list.
Yeah, with another very distinctive looking I used to think they were the same actor, but they're not. They're two different actors playing the villains in this, but they also get that very ridgy face. I'm not even really sure how you would even describe it.
Ridgy is good, actually. Ridgy. Yeah.
Like they have like extra bones in their faces.
Yeah, definitely.
they got $10 worth of bones in a $5 face. That First Power movie is also another one where Lou Diamond Phillips wears a duster in Los Angeles constantly, and but looser pants. They're pleated with belts.
Thank God. Because man, the tightness of those pants was, and he put them on thinking, yeah, I look great. I'm like,
oh, I look great. But the point of tight pants like that is to see that butt. We never get to see that butt at any point. We do
get to see a lot of his size 6 boots though, so that's kind of nice.
He is one of the few action heroes in heels. So before V.I. Wachowski, he came onto the scene a couple of years later. He makes some real crazy, costume decisions. When he directed the Staying Alive, he has a Hitchcock cameo in there where he walks past what's his face? Travolta walking down the street, and he is dressed like Craven the Hunter. It's just the only thing missing is a fucking spear in his hand. It is the craziest goddamn thing. But there are other people in the movie also dressed like Craven the Hunter. It's like someone got in their head. Furs are in, everyone. They're like, all right, bring in the giant fur coats. Let's all wear them. So that pretty much does it for this section of Cobra. We have a whole other half of the movie, which is mostly a car chase left to talk about. But before we go, let's play a little Choose Your Own Deathventure. Of all of the many deaths in this movie, which one will you choose to die by if you were forced to? Up for bid, we have shot, knife, axe, knife, shot, knife, axe, shot, knife, axe. So it's a location thing. Do you want to get shot? Do you want to get knife? Do you want to get axe? Or you just want to be in a car that explodes? Well,
there's also getting hit by a van and flung into an elevator shaft.
That's very, very true. So Patrick, you're the guest of honor. Which way do you want to go out?
In honor of the Clash song of the same name, I will get shot in the supermarket.
Any particular aisle? Do you want to go out in the freezer? Do you want to go out in the butcher's area? Do you want to go out by the fruits and veg?
Oh, gosh. I mean, the health conscious part of me says fruits and veg, but I'm going to say canned goods.
Yeah. Yeah. It's prettier that way. Yeah. I feel you. Gina, what say you?
I too am going to get shot in the supermarket, and I'm going to pick the on-screen variation of my corpse being flung into a Christmas tree because it's just dramatic, and when I go, I want it to be dramatic.
I think I'm going to go out being dragged under a hospital bed when I discover an old woman is sleeping next to a bloody mop. Also, Why does he need a mop? All the hallways are carpeted in a hospital.
Ew.
What is he mopping?
Yikes.
I know. Carpeted hospital hallways. That's a choice. There we go. That's the way it works. All right. So much more to talk about Cobra, but before we get to that, of course, Patrick, where can people find you in this world and hear more from you and what you're doing?
Oh, gosh. I'm over at fthismovie.com every day, and we put out a podcast once a week, or on Twitter at fthismovie, or my own Twitter, which is at Patrick Bromley.
Excellent. Do it today, people. I love F This Movie, and as I always say to you, you're one of the bastions of people who loves movies, and your love of the art form, chastises me for being such a cynical dick, and 2, makes me check out movies that I might have written off or not given a fair shake. Oh. And I feel that you guys do that in Abandon. And I love hearing you on other podcasts as well. When I just feel like there are groups of people who love the art form so much that when they talk about it, they make you want to love this thing that you say you love.
Oh, well, thank you. That's so nice of you to say.
It's very, very true. It's an attitude I aspire to have and probably don't give off. I love Cobra, and yet I've spent the past hour making a mockery of it because I mock what I love. Gina, where can people find you on this here internet?
I am a writer at The Spool. That's thespool.net. I am currently recapping episodes of HBO's The Outsider. And then you can also check out my own website, which I talk about old TV and movies and pop culture. That's GinaRadcliffe.com. And I, too, am on Twitter under Porcelain72.
Do it today, people. Check it out. Of course, you can catch up with us on Twitter at KillByKillPod. We have the Facebook group and page, so you can talk about things in more detail. We're occasionally on Instagram at KillByKillPodcast. And, of course, there is our Patreon account, which is no longer 18 plus. So no more dick pics from me.
Put your clothes back on. We're family friendly.
I've told people for a very long time on this podcast, I do it in the nude because I love my body.
Well, it's
and
not a
while you can't see it, you should feel it.
It's not a video podcast, so we're okay there. We're safe.
And so what's happening on the Patreon front, Gino?
We have 2 new patrons, G.I. Joseph and our friends at the Off the Cuffs podcast. Thank you. We just released our latest episode, which was the very, very entertaining Murder Party. That was our bi-monthly You Pick the Movie episode, which for patrons at the $10 level, they get to give us a movie that we'll talk about, and it's mostly gone pretty well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Murder Party. I'd heard that it was good, but I didn't know how good, and we just had a blast watching it. It was fantastic. Coming up next month, we've got The Seduction.
Oh yeah,
for Valentine's Day, for lovers.
That sounds sexy.
So sexy.
Talking about a movie that is sweaty, we seem to specialize in sweat here. Because that movie also has a ton of sweaty people in it.
And yet most of the time when I'm recording, I'm actually very cold.
Yeah, I try to keep it frigid in here, but it's going to heat up, baby. You better believe it. And then hopefully we might have something special for Gen Pop on Valentine's Day too. So keep a lookout for that. We're going to have more Cobra. Oh God, we're going to talk about the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
I love how your voice just like, we're going to have more Cobra. And then we're going to talk about the Nightmare on Elm Street.
And then we're going to, then we're going to take our fucking castor oil. The more I think about it, it's just like fucking one and done that bad boy. It's just, I feel like we're kicking a dead horse.
And it's just going to be like, an hour and 10 minutes of fuck this movie.
I mean, yeah. And it didn't, I thought I had all the Nightmare on Elm Streets in the Blu-ray pack. They don't even include that piece of shit in there. So now I got to buy that. I have to purchase that.
Just rent it. That's what I'm going to do.
I guess if we're one and
you can rent it for literally like $3 on YouTube.
The movie you can get for $3 on YouTube. Put it on the poster, everyone.
That's your pull quote.
Well, your Rotten Tomatoes verified. Hopefully we get that up on its score soon. So that does it for us. So until next time, for myself, for Gina, and for Patrick, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.